Phantom Bus process is inspired by what we do on the analog console in the digital workspace. So it's an in-series methodology that allows us to take the music from point A to point B while retaining that sort of transparency and depth of field and that sound like we were never there, but yet we did this work. It came from our work in the analog field and is now blossoming in the digital world.
When introducing compression in object-based formats, it can be audible in a non-musical way if not done and handled with that intent of bringing the music closer to you and in the most effortless way possible.
And by the way, this is not achievable without working in headphones. We have to constantly monitor the binaural fall downs in a pair of headphones in order to know what it is we're dealing with. So it's probably the most crucial environment of all in the process of immersive audio processing, is listening to what that fold down is going to be, because all of these elements, which is not going through a bus, as Reuben pointed out, is then getting folded down and thus raising level and hitting, you know, the soft limit in the renderer and that kind of thing. And it's crucial to check that in headphones, and we would not be able to do that work in that environment. In stereo, we use headphones as a luxury. It's an additional tool. It's very useful. It can be done without it. In that environment, the work cannot be done without headphones.
We use compression or dynamic processes in a very musical way to enhance the musicality, not just to achieve level. Level happens by default along the way, but it's not the first thing in our minds. It just kind of happens naturally. Compression that we're adding has everything to do with the musicality. So in object-based formats, while monitoring through headphones, we want to make sure that dynamic range, that density, is musically better than where we started. And if not, we shouldn't do it, because that's the only reason to do it. Unless you have to create continuity between songs, that type of thing, where we can kind of maybe lean this way or that way a little bit, but not too far, because if you go too far away from where that mix was really mixed for, then you're taking steps backwards, not forwards. So if we have the ability to dynamically process in this musical way that we're very familiar with, that allows us to achieve all of those things in that format, especially when we're dealing with continuity. Many songs on a release, and they all have to live together on the same canvas, if you will. Dynamic processing is very important in that way.
Looking into the future of this industry is a fascinating thing to me, because we live in a mobile environment. So all of the media, the data, the music, the film, the television, everything that people consume, and there's a lot of it, is predominantly directed towards the mobile environment, which means earbuds and a little screen the size of a credit card. It's hard to predict where that's going to go, if that'll become a projector, so it's a little bigger of a screen, what is going to change in terms of the audible nature of media that's being delivered to customers. But what is clear is that it's a very mobile environment, which started many years ago when, you know, we could get on airplanes and drive cars. So we roam the planet freely at this point. That's not going to change. That tells me that for our particular sliver of industry, which is to process audio and make good sounding digestible audio, it's going to have to be directed towards people that listen in earbuds. So anything that's done in an array of speakers, anything that's done for immersive audio, and as big and grandiose as it is, it has to work in that mobile environment. So with Apple doing a push on their spatial audio, which is the fold down of the immersive Sony 360, Dolby Atmos, Auro, various other immersive formats into that spatial sphere, is their particular fold down for earbuds. So we have to make sure that everything we do fits that. And that is how we're looking at it currently, while watching all the technology catch up with itself and change to a degree. That consistency is there, and that's how we can future-proof this music. So anything we're working on now, being able to be digested later, I don't think that part's going to change. I think it's going to continue to be a mobile environment and very easy earpod environment. So these fold downs have to be really accurate as possible in these environments, which means that when we work on the array of speakers, that's one thing, but we have to make sure that when those things fold down, they work in that environment. And as technology changes, this music will be future-proofed if we pay attention to that and pay very close and careful attention to that. The human element is you know, in an acoustical environment, if you're listening to my voice in this acoustical environment without microphones, without recording it on anything, you're hearing it bounce off walls, you're hearing it in the immersive sense. And that's essentially what the immersive audio technology is trying to capture. So it's not, you know, multiple speakers for the sake of it, put a guitar there and a drum there. It's the creative use of the format to just give that additional sphere of sound around you. So it can be used in any multiple variants of ways. But also, we got 2 ears and a pair of AirPods, and if you're riding a train and want to listen to spatial music, you have to do it through that. So that human experience is that careful combination of this immersive consciousness that is now being promoted within that environment.
So technology will change, formats will change, they always have, they always will. Best practices will continue to be developed, but the one thing that will remain the same is the internal, the reaction to the music, what you decide to do in real time. And it's the same thing if we're working on stereo in the analog domain, or we're working on object-based audio in the digital domain. The same sensibilities, the same reactions apply. And that's something that you can't go out and buy at a store. That's something that you can only develop as years go by. The more time you spend at it, the more refined it will be, the more sensitive to the subtleties you will become. So that is the full circle coming back. That completes it all. That allows us to do our best work no matter where the technology goes. We're always making those same decisions. And it really comes down to what I said at the beginning, connection to the music.
If a fan can listen to a song and connect with that song and that performance and that artist, and they think of nothing else but that, then we've succeeded.